2018 to 2020 seemed like a chaotic mess for MrBeast's business, given the number of mixed reviews his past employees were posting on various social media platforms. Some of them had nothing but good things to say, and some not so good. By 2021, no one was publicly complaining anymore. Maybe it's because something changed and MrBeast developed better hiring practices. Maybe he just started treating his employees better. We all know that MrBeast is incredibly generous to his followers, but can the same be said for his employees? In this video, we'll hear the answer from MrBeast himself with some snippets of his recent interview with Lex Friedman and take a look at what MrBeast's previous employees have to say about working for MrBeast. And honestly, you kind of have to expect it given that MrBeast is only 24 years old and his brand doesn't exactly fit the confines of the strict and rigid corporate world. It is a very creative field and people are naturally going to have different opinions on how to do stuff. The question is whether that's all it is, creative differences, or is there something more? In this video, you'll learn what his former employees have to say, and you decide for yourself whether MrBeast gives a shit about creating a positive work environment and taking care of his employees. Jake the Viking. One of the most successful people who worked with MrBeast is Jake the Viking. He's been a regular guest on MrBeast's videos since 2018, and he's also one of the fans' favorites. In fact, it was MrBeast's fans who gave him the name Jake the Viking. However, his video appearances became less frequent until he was eventually let go from the team. Soon after, he released a video titled Why I Left MrBeast, and from the looks of it, Jake and MrBeast parted on good terms. Jake also said he's always wanted to do his own thing and admits that the exposure he got from appearing in MrBeast's videos allowed him to cultivate his own brand. Now, Jake the Viking has over 2.6 million followers on TikTok and more than 1.4 million YouTube subscribers. Garrett. Another one who used to be a regular guest on MrBeast's videos is Garrett. He was in most of MrBeast's videos in 2019. That was until he moved on to work with MrBeast's brother, CJ, and became a regular on the CJ These Days channel instead, which was at the time called Mr. Bro. Like the Jake the Viking, Garrett's appearances became less frequent and eventually ceased. These days, it seems Garrett has taken a break from social media and no one really knows what he's up to. But he did leave on good terms with both MrBeast and his brother, and most of MrBeast's team still follow him on Instagram. Ty. You might remember Ty, who now goes by Cool Bro Joe on TikTok. He was first seen on one of MrBeast's videos, World's Largest Bowl of Cereal. This video got over 100 million views, and since then Ty appeared in a few other videos on MrBeast's channel before he just disappeared. Now, Ty wasn't exactly hired by MrBeast, he was more of a guest creator, but it does appear that they parted on good terms, seeing as they still follow each other on Instagram. Nowadays, Ty seems happy doing TikTok dance challenges while pursuing his music career. Jake Weddle. Now, let's talk about Jake Weddle. He's someone who worked with MrBeast both in front and back end of his business. For quite some time, Jake was a semi-regular guest on MrBeast's videos, but his main job was to be MrBeast's writer, director, and producer. Like the three other guys I talked about earlier, Jake Weddle parted ways with MrBeast amicably. Jake has always wanted to be a stand-up comic and was actually working hard to realize that goal years before he even met MrBeast. After working with the YouTuber for a while, he ultimately decided to move on and cultivate his own brand. He said, "There was so many things I wanted to do as a stand-up that I really just couldn't do. And that's not to the detriment of, Jimmy or anything." So far, his online presence hasn't really grown by much, but that's probably because he's focusing on his act as a stand-up comic instead of making YouTube videos and doing podcasts. Before I talk about the not-so-good comments about working for MrBeast, please make sure to subscribe to this channel and share this video with other creators and MrBeast fans. Marcus Pearson. So far, I've been talking about people who worked with MrBeast in the limelight. Now let's see who's worked on the back end have to say about working for the famous YouTuber. I'll start this off with Marcus Pearson. Like I said at the start of this video, not everyone had good things to say about working for MrBeast. One of them was Marcus Pearson. He appeared on some of MrBeast's videos, but he was soon let go. No one really knows why, but it does seem like it wasn't on the best of terms. I mean, he did diss MrBeast publicly through an Instagram post where he called MrBeast stupid and said his merch was trash. Again, we don't know what happened behind the scenes or even what Marcus is up to nowadays, but I do hope he's doing well. Matt Turner. If there's anyone who hates MrBeast's guts more than Marcus Pearson, it's Matt Turner. He used to work for MrBeast as a video editor. At first, he had nothing but good things to say and even made a video of appreciation for his job in MrBeast's team. But shortly after, he tweeted a bunch of accusations against the YouTuber. He has since deleted his tweets, but in them, he talked about how MrBeast constantly yelled at him, bullied him, and called him replaceable and mentally retarded, amongst other things. Another former MrBeast editor, Nate Anderson, who only worked with the YouTuber for a week, echoed these sentiments and said that MrBeast is a perfectionist with unreasonable demands. Given the lack of evidence, many people dismissed these as a hoax or some sort of clout-chasing attempt. Some fans even replied with hateful comments, as in the case of Anderson, death threats. Matt Turner later on issued an apology and explained himself, saying, "I worked for this guy and it wasn't great, but that's it." He also said that it was never his intention for those tweets to blow up like they did. MrBeast never responded to any of his former employees' accusations directly, but in a recent video interviewed with Lex Friedman, MrBeast talked at length about his hiring practices and what it's like to work for him.
There's not that many YouTube channels that have scaled up, so it's not like there's a huge talent pool of people who've worked on YouTube channels. So it's easier just to train someone than just pull them from traditional, because traditional people just, I don't know, they have all these opinions and things.
The choice is really just between beginners and people with hefty experience in more traditional media like movies and documentaries. Here's MrBeast describing the issue with more experienced people.
From game shows, right? And they have all these preconceived notions about pacing and how a video should be, and you have to spend like the first year like breaking all these habits, and and they think they're better than you. Like a lot of people in traditional think they're better, and they think their way is better than what we do. And so for me, it's almost easier to hire people that are just hard workers, that are obsessed and really coachable, and just train them how to like be good at content creation and production.
Another issue is even with people who are really coachable, the work still isn't easy and straightforward. Even though MrBeast has become an expert on what makes a video go viral, this formula is not an end-all, be-all type thing, and the rules still vary from video to video. So when MrBeast says something like this,
ideally there's a cut every 3 seconds, and the next thing you know, every video there's a cut every 3 seconds or whatever. So
it doesn't mean that other videos may be edited the same way, which is what people struggle with. There's no definitive checklist or set of rules to follow. The way you go about things heavily varies per video. That said, it seems shifting his hiring practices from those with established portfolios to beginners who are just obsessed with YouTube and are eager to learn seems to be working out well for him, given that we haven't been seeing any negative feedback from his employees recently. Going back to Matt Turner, 8 months after his so-called fake clout chasing attempt, MrBeast uploaded a video titled "Last to Take Hands Off Houses Keeps It," and his then video editor turned out to be the winner. This prompted another YouTuber to throw shade at Matt Turner by tweeting, 8 months ago, an editor that tried to work for @MrBeastYT tried to expose Beast with lies for clout and failed hard. Today, MrBeast gave his current editor a house. I bet the first editor is on suicide watch. It was even retweeted by PewDiePie's video editor as if to say, hey, MrBeast gives his editors free houses, maybe you should too. Now, giving away houses to all his employees may not be a sustainable business model, but given that MrBeast is rich as hell, maybe. MrBeast should start paying his artists more instead of, say, giving away all his money to his fans and random strangers. In just over a dozen videos in 2022, MrBeast gave away a total of $3.2 million to people who participated in his challenges. For example, his Squid Game in Real Life video came with a cash prize of $456,000. He also gave away an actual private island for his 100 millionth subscriber during one of his challenges. Here are some more stats on how MrBeast gave away in some of his more popular YouTube challenges. $613,000 on I Built Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. $240,000 on Would You Swim with Sharks for $100,000. $340,000 on $10,000 every day you survive prison. $500,000 plus other prizes on 100 girls vs 100 boys for $500,000. $365,000 on I Hunted 100 People. $500,000 on Survive 100 Days in Circle, win $500,000. $552,002 on 100 kids versus 100 adults for $500,000. Going by these numbers alone, he could definitely afford to pay his artists more, say instead of spending all his money on random strangers, but maybe this isn't an either-or situation. MrBeast clearly has enough money to keep blessing his fans with hundreds of thousands of dollars and pay his artists well above the market rate. Besides, we don't know that he's not already doing that. None of the complaints about him mentioned unfair wages. On the job postings on his website, it also doesn't say how much each position pays, although it does seem like the positions come with pretty sweet perks and benefits. Let's hope MrBeast is paying his team well, otherwise it would suck watching him give away all that money while his artists slave away for hourly pay. As for MrBeast fans, MrBeast, if you're watching this, here's an idea for your next YouTube challenge. Start a YouTube school and make creators compete for free tuition. How about that, huh? So, does MrBeast give a fuck about how he treats his team? It appears the answer is yes, for the most part. Of course, as with anyone who runs a business, not everyone will like the way you do it, but MrBeast certainly won't last as long as he has if it's an absolute hell working with him. Now, as to whether MrBeast would make a great Twitter CEO, watch this next video.